There is a kind of person who consistently confuses the people closest to them. Not because they're trying to, not because they're chaotic or difficult, but because the way they move through the world follows a logic that almost no one around them can see. They walk away from success at the moment it arrives. They stay unmoved by people everyone else would fall for. They rage over something small and stay composed when everything collapses. They disappear from relationships without warning and without explanation. And the people who love them are left with the same question over and over. Why? If you're watching this, there's a good chance you already know the answer, because you're one of them. You are a deep intuitive, an INFJ, an INTJ, an INFP, or an INTP. And today, we're going to do something that almost nobody has done clearly. We're going to make sense of the 4 behaviors that confuse everyone around you. Not to fix them, not to apologize for them, but to finally understand what they're actually telling you about yourself. Because there is a reason for all of it, and it's not what anyone thinks. If you've ever been told you're hard to understand, this channel exists for you. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. Before we go into the 4 behaviors, I want to give you the thread that connects all of them, because these aren't 4 random quirks. They're one thing showing up in 4 different places. Deep intuitives live from the inside out. Most people live from the outside in. The world tells them what success looks like, and they pursue it. The world tells them who is lovable, and they fall for it. The world tells them what to be angry about, and they react. The world tells them who deserves their presence, and they stay. But you don't receive those signals the way others do. You have an internal compass, a signal so deep, so specific, and so non-negotiable that when the external world contradicts it, you cannot follow the external world. Even when following it would be easier, even when everyone around you is telling you to. That is not a flaw, but it looks like one. From the outside, it looks like 4 very confusing things, and it starts with success, or more precisely, with what you do at the exact moment success arrives. You abandon winning situations. And I don't mean you give up when things get hard. I mean the opposite. You stay through the hard parts. You endure. You build something. And then, when it starts working, when it looks, from the outside, like you finally made it, you leave. People watch this and they cannot process it. They've seen you sacrifice for this. They've seen what it cost you. And now, at the moment of success, you're walking away, but here's what they're missing. You never wanted what they thought you wanted. The job title, the stability, the recognition, those were never the signal. The signal was something else, something harder to name, a sense of alignment between what you're doing and what you know yourself to be. And when that alignment isn't there, when the success is real but the meaning is hollow, your internal signal doesn't celebrate. It says, "This isn't it." And you listen to it because you always have. This is why deep intuitives can look like they're self-sabotaging when they're actually self-protecting. They're not destroying their success. They're refusing to mistake external achievement for internal arrival. The world says, "You made it." Your signal says, "Keep going," and you go. But success is just the beginning. Because the same thing happens in love. And in love, it's even harder to explain. Because this time, it's not about what you leave. It's about who you can't feel anything for. And this one might be the behavior that has hurt the most people around you, including people who genuinely deserved better, including you. You are unmoved by people who look perfect on paper. This one confuses people the most. Because love is supposed to be irrational, but not this irrational. They watch you meet someone kind, attractive, stable, genuinely interested in you, someone they would choose, someone that logic would choose. And they watch you feel nothing. And then they watch you feel everything for someone who makes no sense to them at all. They want to understand it. They can't. Here's why. Deep intuitives don't fall in love with what someone is. They fall in love with what someone carries, the depth behind the words, the particular way a mind moves, something ineffable, a resonance that either happens or it doesn't, and no amount of credentials or good intentions can manufacture it. When that resonance is there, you feel it immediately, like recognition, like something inside you suddenly has a mirror. When it's absent, you feel that too, and you cannot force yourself past it. You can be kind, you can admire someone, but you cannot make the signal appear. The world says they're perfect for you. Your signal says nothing. And to protect both yourself and the other person, you listen. This isn't coldness. This isn't being impossible to love. This is the highest form of honesty, refusing to perform connection when connection isn't real. Has anyone ever called you cold or emotionally unavailable when you knew it was actually the opposite? Tell me in the comments. I read everything. But here's where it gets strange, because the next behavior has nothing to do with success or love. It's about something nobody expects, and it might be the one that has confused you the most, about yourself. It's about anger, but not the kind you're thinking of. You stay calm in catastrophe, and then you collapse over something small. And no one understands this, not even you, sometimes. They've seen you handle real crises with a steadiness that stunned them. A loss, a failure, a moment when everything fell apart, and you were there, clear-headed, holding things together. They thought, this person is unbreakable. And then one day, something minor happens. A comment, a cancelled plan, a small betrayal, a moment that by any external measure should be manageable. And something in you breaks open, quietly or not so quietly, in a way that feels wildly out of proportion to what just happened. They're confused. You might be confused too. Here's the truth. Deep intuitives don't process experience the way others do. When the crisis is real and immediate, your system activates. You go into the function. You handle it. You have access to clarity because you're needed. But the small things are rarely just what they appear to be. That cancelled plan isn't a cancelled plan. It's the 15th time someone chose convenience over you. That comment isn't a comment. It's confirmation of a pattern you've been watching for months, silently, alone, and it just crossed a threshold you never announced. Your anger, when it arrives, is almost never about what it appears to be about. It's accumulated signal. Every time you overrode your own sensing to keep the peace, to be reasonable, to not make it a thing, it went somewhere, and that somewhere has a limit. The world says, why are you reacting like this over something so small? Your signal says, this was never small. And this brings us to the last behavior, the one that ends relationships, the one that makes people feel abandoned, the one even the deepest intuitives struggle to explain about themselves. It happens in friendship, in the people you were once closest to, and it happens without a single word of explanation. You go cold on people without explanation. And when I say cold, I don't mean hostile. I mean absent, unreachable, present in body, but gone in a way that everyone can feel and no one can name. One day you're there, fully, warmly, genuinely. The next day, something has shifted, and the other person is left trying to figure out what they did wrong. Often, they didn't do anything wrong. Here's what happened. Deep intuitives experience friendship as a living thing that either has energy or it doesn't. And when the energy disappears, when the connection stops nourishing something real inside you, when the conversations feel like performance, when you realize you've been editing yourself to fit a version of the relationship that no longer fits you, the signal simply turns off. It isn't a decision, it's a recognition. And because you're not cruel, you don't announce it. You don't manufacture drama. You just withdraw. You become careful where you were once open. You answer where you once initiated, and the friendship quietly changes shape. What makes this painful for both sides is that you usually can't explain it. How do you tell someone, Nothing happened, but everything changed. How do you say, it's not you, it's a frequency that doesn't resonate anymore? You can't. And so, you go quiet, and they're left with a silence that feels like a verdict. But it isn't a verdict. It's you protecting the only thing you know how to protect, the integrity of your inner signal. The world says, you abandoned them. Your signal says, I stopped pretending. If what I describe in this channel feels like it was written specifically for you, there's a reason. The deeper work lives in the hidden chamber. The link is below. 4 behaviors, 1 signal, 1 truth underneath all of it. You leave success when it stops meaning something. You don't fall for what looks right. You rage at what others call small and stay steady when the world calls it catastrophic. And you disappear from people before you disappear from yourself. None of this makes you easy to understand, but understanding was never really the point, was it? The point was integrity. The point was staying true to something so deep inside you that you were aware of it before you had words for it. The point was refusing to live someone else's version of your life, even when the cost was being called difficult, cold, unstable, or impossible. I want to say something to you before we end. The world will keep trying to convince you that your signal is a malfunction, that the rational thing is to override it, that if you would just be a little more flexible, a little more reasonable, a little more willing to perform what others expect, your life would be easier. Maybe it would be, but you would not be you. And you've always known that losing yourself would cost more than anything the world could offer in return. That is not a flaw. That is the beginning of wisdom. If this reached something in you, share it with one person who has been called hard to understand, and tell me in the comments which of these 4 behaviors has cost you the most. And if you want to answer in just one word, success, love, anger, or friendship, that's enough. I'll know what you mean. A final word before I go. Most people will scroll past without a word. That's fine. This content exists for you either way. But if something in this channel has ever made you feel less alone, less strange, less impossible to understand, and you want to do something with that feeling, there are 2 ways. You can join the channel membership. What you get is early access to selected videos. What you give is the signal that this work matters enough to sustain. Or if this video reached you in a way that felt rare, super thanks is there. One gesture, no commitment. Either way, you're not supporting a creator. You're choosing to sustain something built for a kind of mind the world rarely makes room for. The join button and super thanks are right below this video. You'll see them.